Ocasio-Cortez.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. This hearing is called Federal Pandemic Spending, a Prescription for Waste, Abuse, and Fraud. UI, unemployment assistance, the Paycheck Protection Program, all of it. And in the wind-up to this hearing on January 13th, I see that the chair sent several letters to 3 states, Pennsylvania, California, and my home state of New York, with serious allegations of widespread fraud and abuse. But I'm curious a little bit about how we got to these 3 states. Mr. Dodaro, if you were auditing or investigating what went wrong in states in the distribution of pandemic-related unemployment insurance, how would you go about choosing which states to examine?
Well, we would look at a number of factors. One would be the amount of money that would go there. We would look for geographic distribution of the programs. We would look for other characteristics of state programs, a number of claims, for example, that have been there. And so we would take a nationwide sample.
And even, in your experience looking at perhaps even something like a per capita approach or in your expertise, if you had to estimate some of the top candidate states, what do you think some of those states would be and why? And again, more on like a per capita level. Yeah,
I don't have the per capita numbers in my head, so I don't want to venture a guess at this point. I'd be happy to provide something for the record.
Overall, let's say not from per capita, what would be some of the top states that you would look at in terms of your experience and oversight of these programs?
Well, certainly California and New York are always candidates to look at in those cases. But you have Michigan, you have Florida, you have states in the South and the West. And so we would have a geographic distribution in order to make sure that we cover the money. What we try to do in these cases is cover, like right now, we're looking at the state and local coronavirus relief fund. And we've selected 18 states, and we're looking at, they account for about 60% of the total amount of money.
Thank you, Mr. Dodaro. I'd like to submit to the record this report from the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee entitled Key Insights State Pandemic Unemployment Insurance Programs. Now, Mr. Horowitz and Mr. Dodaro, can you think of any methodology that would have brought the committee to send those 3 letters specifically to just those 3 states? Is there any methodology you can think of that would just result in Pennsylvania, New York, and California being under investigation by this committee?
Well, I would defer to the committee. I don't really know what their objectives were in that case, and I don't think...
I understand. Now, I want to dig into this report. According to this report, PRAC, for example, Arizona paid $1.6 billion to individuals to stolen identities to get unemployment insurance benefits. Louisiana dispersed more than $1 million to individuals after the date of their death. And in Kentucky, state employees applied for unemployment benefits while still employed by the state and were able to hack the state's information management system and remove holds on their own accounts. And none of these states have been put under investigation by this committee. I find it very interesting because, as was stated at the beginning, the bipartisan nature of oversight is what gives it its power. And what we are seeing are investigations into, and I believe that the methodology for these 3 states is highly questionable. I ask for this committee, if we're going to perform oversight, then let's perform oversight. Congressional Democrats are ready to perform that oversight and help our constituents get the benefits they need to pay their bills. And I think that there's no shortage of members of this committee who are willing to stand up to their own party when it's necessary. But I cannot, for the life of me, understand why the majority would send these 3 letters just to these 3 states that leave us with no other conclusion that there may be some rank partisanship in this investigation. Committee Republicans, I ask, if we're going to start off, let's do it right. And with that,